Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Seams. I'm your host, Michelle Washington. Today I'm sitting down with Marta Miller of Lefty Production Co. and Rebekah Hoffer of Stitch, Texas, bringing emerging designers' dreams to life in apparel and development right here in Austin, Texas. Their story is full of heart, grit, and redefining what it really means to care in this industry. So do not adjust your screens because the fashion revolution is being televised. My name is Michelle Washington, TV style expert and fashion stylist. I've worked with countless brands and seen the ins and outs of the fashion industry. Now, I want to bring their stories to you. Join me as we take a deeper look at the journeys of Texas fashion designers and apparel industry professionals and learn just what it takes to make it as a brand. Marta and Rebekah, Rebekah and Marta.
Hello.
Hi.
Dynamic duo, that's what I'm saying. Okay, did y'all ride deep like Batman and Robin getting here or no?
We came separately, but just like it's interesting how you meet somebody in your life and you're like, wow, we grew up very similarly, and just same moral codes and all those things. So a later in life thing, but definitely same threads.
Well, you popping me off to the first question I really wanted to hint at. Where are y'all both from?
Well, we're both Texas girls. Okay. And I grew up in Beaumont, but my family is from Houston and coincidentally right near Marta's family.
So I'm from Houston. We're both Longhorns. So we love Austin. We both went to college at UT. And just kind of, different ages, but traveled a similar life.
Well, for the both of you, how did you first fall in love with fashion?
Well, for me, I was always drawing things as a girl. I drew a lot of shoes, actually, surprisingly. But I loved clothes and playing dress up. And when I graduated high school, I got the opportunity to do a study abroad program in Israel. And on that program, I was afforded an additional opportunity to intern with a fashion designer. Truthfully, I thought it would just be a fun thing to do. But on my journey with her, I got to see different aspects of the industry and realized that this is so much more than just a fun fashion thing. There's a whole industry involved and a lot of different opportunities. And then from there, I went to university. I studied fashion. I did a study abroad in Australia, also doing fashion. Then I came back, graduated, and got my first job at a local manufacturing facility and my second job at Stitch, Texas. And I've been there ever since.
Okay. I like how you brought that around the world. I was traveling with you.
Yeah. I like to see the world, and honestly, everybody's wearing different clothes, but they're all beautiful in their own way.
I can feel the love in everything you're saying, so I know you fell in love with fashion, period.
I did, irrevocably. As they say in rom-coms.
Okay.
It's one of those industries, if you're not in love with it, you should not be in it. It's such a beautiful industry, and it has so many heartaches, and there's so many, you have to love it, in my opinion. The number one thing when I'm hiring somebody is I want to see if they're just there's no other place for them, nothing else is really going to speak that language to them. Because I just feel like this industry is so special in that sense.
Well, Marta, how did you come to fall in love with fashion and apparel?
Before I was born, my mom hired a nanny, Lola. She and my mom are still together. And she was from El Salvador, and she sewed production in El Salvador. And she just we always had a sewing machine at our house. She was always like fixing something, making my mom a chair cushion, and I just like loved the sound. I loved everything. And then my grandma also sewed. So I have just so many memories of her. Like, she'd make patterns out of newspaper, and she'd be at her kitchen table like making herself a purse to go with like an outfit. And so I just have so many memories of like just like how calm and just like they just always, it was kind of like just this art that was like in my home. But I never really, I think when you grow up in Texas, maybe now it's a little different, but growing up in Texas, like I never had like a friend's parent that was in the fashion industry or anything. And so when I moved to California, I was like, oh my God, like a friend's dad could own a dye house, and like a friend's dad could like, be making like denim, and a friend's dad could be. So I didn't really grow up with like this idea that this was a business. I just kind of saw it as like a hobby. So it really took me, I didn't study it because it just wasn't like what my family thought was a business, right? And so then I studied abroad in London. I had an amazing internship with Matthew Williamson, and then I was just like, I was like skipping down the streets sourcing a button. I was just like, oh my God, I'm home. Like, this is just amazing. And then I moved to LA, and my first job there was with Rosetta Getty, and I was able to just watch her. She's such an amazing designer. She just kind of dreams a vision and makes it happen. I've never actually seen anybody do this. Like, she'll just envision something in her brain and then it happens. And then from there, I started my first company, and then eventually Lefty, and then eventually Stitch.
I love how you put that, because there's a story in each layer. So my question to you would be, for everything that I already know, our audience doesn't know, so summarize what Lefty Co. in Stitch, Texas is and what you do.
You want to take it away?
Sure. So Stitch, Texas, we are primarily a development company, which means that we take a project from idea all the way into final prototype. That's your development. And there's many, many steps in between. From the idea phase, we talk very in-depthly about each idea, going from the exterior, the buttons, the fabric, the trim, into the interior, the stitching, how we're going to put it together. We talk about it from a conceptual standpoint in terms of function, so that we can optimize building this item to meet the customer, but also optimize it for the eventual production. Mm-hmm. And that's very important in your development, to make sure that you're creating a viable product. So we take your idea, we talk about it, and then through a series of iterations, we make pattern and sample until we get to the finalized shape. When it's final, then we size it into the different sizes to fit the customer's ultimate fit, and everybody is a different size. This is one thing we get asked a lot, is what's the standard size? Unfortunately, there is no standard. And so there's a little bit of an education that we have to give our clients about standard versus today. And the best way to do that is to go and find your actual customer, who's going to be fitting into this. What's important is also the age of that customer, because as we age, our bodies change. Some of that has to do with different life things that we go through, whether we are active, less active, childbearing, not. It affects our bodies in different ways, and ultimately that affects how the clothes fit and how we size it. So once we tabulate all of that information and create the garment in its final form, then it is out of development and it's on to the next phase, which is production. So Stitch Texas primarily does development. And then the next phase, production, we also do overseas production. And when we don't do overseas production, we hand it off to our lovely partners at Lefty, who do domestic production.
Well, Rebekah, let me say, I'm going to back up a little.
Absolutely.
I felt all kinds of things when you were naming off the different circumstances. I was like, age, yeah. things we go through, yeah, active, not active. I was like, yeah, that would be me. Check. But fun, interesting facts, and
Essential.
well, you might remember this. I was once upon a time ago, years ago, short time intern when Vesta was still at. Yep.
No
I do.
way. I didn't know this.
Interesting fun fact that I was it was in my years, but anyway.
I love that. I love that connection. Yeah, that was so important to me. First of all, I love the name. I knew Stitch Texas when I lived in LA, and I always felt like ethically we were exactly aligned. Like what our goals were for our customers, how we wanted to focus on education. Like I just felt like there was so much alignment there, and I could have very easily kind of put everything under one umbrella. But I love that they're two different things. I love that there's still this honor of what she created. I never had the opportunity to meet her, but she sounds amazing, and I would have loved to. So it's been nice to kind of bring and allow for Stitch Texas to do domestic production, because I think a lot of small brands actually need domestic production.
It's true.
And they have so much more flexibility in a lot of things. And so it allows small brands, instead of just giving them this beautiful thing that was created once, now we give them an opportunity that they can create it multiple times. And there's a seamless interaction between Rebekah has somebody on the floor at Lefty, her name's Connie, and they just kind of seamlessly work together to make sure that those productions are being done as if Rebekah was the one kind of leading the charge.
Tell me more about the Lefty Co. family connection to Stitch Texas.
Yeah, so Lefty Production Co. was founded in 2012, and it was founded by myself and Emily Royf, and we were manufacturing garments in LA, and just kept hitting our head against the wall, every step of the way. So it was actually initially formed for my own brands and my own interest. It was not formed to help other people. So eventually, it ran from 2012 to 2016, we predominantly manufactured our own brands. And in 2016, I purchased the company from Emily. And at that time, I was like, oh, I just don't, everybody wants to have their own brand. And I enjoyed having my own brand, but I enjoyed having my own brand with a business partner that was really good at all the things I wasn't really necessarily great at. And so eventually I was like, I'm not enjoying this anymore. And then I kind of was like, I'm going to open the factory up to a few brands. Maybe they would need this service, right? And so today we have 0 of our own brands. We only help other brands. And I find that same, what I love is I love making clothes, not necessarily making clothes that were for me. And so that kind of led me into just manufacturing for other people.
One thing I will say about the Lefty Stitch connection is that what Marta's describing is having an everything in-house service provider for other brands that Lefty provides your production from top to bottom. That was something that Vesta was also very passionate about in development, because like Marta, she had her own brand and she was having to go to all these different design houses in order to make it work. And it was such a hustle and so hard to do. And it took a lot of knowledge of knowing the industry in order to even do it. So she, like Marta, felt it was essential to create everything in-house so that brands could come to one spot and have their ideas made. So Connie, as Marta mentioned, is part of the Lefty family, who I work really closely with. And we do everything in-house at Stitch. And then when they're ready for production, I send them over to Connie, and she takes them and multiplies that product by hundreds, thousands, for whatever that customer needs.
I love the connection. I love the symmetry and unity of work, and it does cut down on how many steps have to be placed into getting a collection going. And I think a lot of designers, when they are emerging designers, don't realize how many steps are involved to make that collection come to life in the early days, especially when you're establishing a production company. How difficult, what were the challenges of starting out in this sector of the industry of being apparel development? What are the challenges that you ran into?
I have my first one. So, I'm not really an entrepreneur by nature. It just kind of happened upon me. And starting a business, you make no money. You make $0. So, I also am very much a mom. That's my number one first job, and a wife. I absolutely, my nuclear home is everything to me. And so, I actually started a business, and my only motivation was to be a mom. I just really, if people are like, why did you start a business? I want to say it's for something really noble, but it's really just because I wanted to be able to pick up kids at 3, and nobody told me no. That's 100% why I started a business. And so, in starting a business, you make no money. And I remember doing the calculation. We had our first son, and I had just started my business. I started my business in 2012. He was born in 2013. And I was kind of balancing every meeting, having an infant on my hip, and just kind of okay, this is working. I don't think that customer really liked it, and so kind of balancing how much can I just do this with a child, and then finally kind of came to the conclusion, okay, it's time to hire a nanny, and we had no money, so to pay somebody $25 an hour when I'm making $0 an hour was a big investment. And so we decided, well, we'll have the nanny come to the office and build a little room for the baby, Clay, who's now 11. And they would sit in there, and he would always be in the meetings, but at least I was with him. But really the motivation was, it took me an hour to get to my office and an hour to get home, and that was $50 a day. And so $50 a day times a week is $250. And by just having somebody come to the office, we were saving $250 a week.
Wow.
As a family. And so today, Ashley Beck was Clay's nanny, and she runs Lefty Production Company and does all of the back end for Stitch Texas as well. So I'm a big believer that in these hard days and in these hard times, as an entrepreneur, be so creative, make it work, and you don't even know the blessings that'll come from it.
What I'm feeling is that family is the nucleus of both halves of Lefty Production Co. and Stitch Texas. Your staff becomes family.
Oh.
Y'all all grow together.
Oh my God. I mean, my first sewer is still with us. She started with me in actually 2009. And so she's still with us. We have 2 families as a part of our team. So it's a mother teaching her sons and a mother teaching her daughter. And they all work for Lefty Production Co. We have Raul, who's been with our company since also 2008. He started grading for me.
We're also together so many hours of the day. So, more hours together than not together. So we become each other's family. And you better like who you work with, because you're with them all the time. So we have a very, rigorous isn't the right word, but a very complex hiring process, because we rely on our teammates so much to uphold their end of the company. And so we've grown to really love each other, because ultimately we have to. But it's a very fun environment. It's a work hard, play hard sort of environment. And when I say work hard, it's not because we're slaving away, but it's because we really care about each project that we're developing. We want them to succeed. And so we're always sourcing new material and new notions and bouncing ideas off of each other. And that leads ultimately to fun play because we get to create these beautiful items and share in the joy of them.
You know, I can tell because your thoughts are very synced. You don't finish each other's sentences yet, but you definitely finish thoughts. So y'all spend some time. This is great. Overall, given this plethora of experience that I'm blessed to have in front of me, what would you say to your younger selves? Let's just say your fresh out of college selves, knowing what you know about this industry now. What would you say to that younger person?
Well, when I went to school, they very much pushed, you're going to be a designer. That was the undertone of everything. And what I realized and what I think would have been good advice for me is that there are more opportunities to help others than there are to help yourself. And I know that sounds like, oh, you know, what a great proverb. But truthfully, I get so much more joy out of building somebody else's dreams than building my own dreams. I really enjoy that part of it. So being a technician, being more on the technical end and really understanding and comprehending beyond the surface level is the advice that I would give myself. And know that you can help others. You don't have to be the one.
Oh, see, that's experience talking right there. Okay, okay. Marta?
Gosh, what would I tell my 25-year-old self? Well, first of all, I just lost my dad, so I would say take every single hug from your parent you can get. That's my number one thing I would say, and I did. And then I would tell myself that I probably the same thing. I think that we're engineered to very much focus on yourself, focus on like almost individually engineered, right? And this industry, I did that, and I got very little joy out of that. I found it to be extremely challenging to try to get somebody to like my brand when they had 750 brands to choose from. I found it extremely challenging to do the marketing and all of that. And ultimately, what I learned about myself is I like making clothes. When you have a brand, typically you're making swimsuits or you're making activewear. And what I like making swimsuits and activewear and kidswear and menswear. And I like doing it all. So I actually found that this little niche doesn't have the glory, but what's glamorous for me is the life I lead with my husband and my kids. You know, my dad was a very accomplished attorney, and nobody even brought that up at his funeral. Family is so important, and sometimes you can have a really satisfying career, but it doesn't have to completely define you. One of the things I love about Rebekah is she's got all these hobbies and all these passions, and she could talk about baking just as passionately as she talks about sewing. And I just don't think as people we're pigeonholed into this idea that we are one thing, right? And so I find so much satisfaction. I find a lot of satisfaction by learning how to lead a company, you know, and that has nothing to do with fashion a lot of times. So I think that it's okay to, you know, not totally have a glamorous existence, because you can get that from other facets in life.
One thing my dad told me was that you better love what you do.
Yes.
Because you're going to do it a lot. And one time I was talking to him on the phone. He's also an attorney. And I was talking to him, and I think it was like 10 p.m. at night. And I said, well, what are you doing? He said, well, I'm getting ready for court tomorrow. I was like, Daddy, you're almost 70. What? He said, Rebekah, I told you, you have to love what you do. And I still love it. And I think about that a lot, because even though my role in the fashion industry has changed from being a sample maker to a pattern maker, grader, at this point, I run Stitch Texas, and I still do some of those things here and there, but mostly my job is more management. But I love what I do, and what I'm finding almost equally important as loving the creative part of my job is who I'm working with. I'll give you a really short example. One of my teammates had a client of theirs, and this client was very unhappy. And she ultimately ripped my teammate a new one. And it was awful. No one deserves to be treated that way. She came into my office near tears, and immediately I hugged her. And we talked it out and cried it out. And it was so important to me to meet her where she was. Because ultimately, not only did she not do anything wrong, but she is beautiful and perfect in her own way. And so what happened is a good example of that life is hard. And even though we work in fashion, people get very emotionally attached to the things that they're doing. And I wanted to make sure that I was there for her to lean on, because this is a fun field, but it can be a hard field when you're dealing with other people's dreams. And so we worked through that together. She came out the other side, but it was impactful for me to really take count of how much I love the people I work with. That's what really makes my job so much fun. It's not just the fashion part of it, but also the other teammates, really the family that I'm working with.
Every single person on my team knows that I would choose an employee over a client. And I don't say this because I don't absolutely love my employees, but it is so much harder for me to train an employee, teach them our ways, make sure they have our moral code. All of these things are so much more important than finding a client. But when somebody takes it to that next level where they just tear somebody apart, it just is not what our companies are about, and we're happy to show them the door, because that is not what we want.
Both of you have so many gems that you've dropped. You just bejeweled the whole conversation.
Aw, thank you.
Thank you both for your integrity, what you do for this industry, bringing the emerging designers collections to life. There's a lot. And I'm going to be goofy and switch gears now.
Right, let's go.
It's time for the fire round.
Okay.
All right. So this is going to go fast.
All right.
Okay.
If I can get it out fast too. So I'm going to bounce back and forth. Okay. Rebekah, if you could design for any celebrity or brand, who would it be?
Ooh, Balmain.
Okay.
I love Balmain. Fabulous.
You came out fast.
Actually, I'm going to change that. Iris Apfel. She is an icon. She's a maximalist, which is my brand. I love that. More is more.
Okay.
Love that.
Marta, what's your personal power outfit when you need to feel unstoppable?
Ooh, my power outfit. A Celia B dress.
Ooh, okay.
Love her.
All right. Now this one, I don't know. I think I'll give it to both of you. Austin favorite, breakfast tacos or barbecue?
Breakfast tacos.
Barbecue.
Oh, all right. Marta, what's the one thing you always keep at your desk or studio that keeps you grounded?
Ooh, my Vetiver essential oil.
Oh, all right.
I love that smell. It always calms my energy. It's a good one.
One trend, past or present, that you secretly love, even if it's quirky.
A trend.
Mm-hmm.
I know mine.
Why don't you go first?
I love fur.
Oh.
So now I only buy it vintage. My uncle was actually a furrier in Canada, in Montreal, Canada. And I love fur.
Okay,
I love it.
I second that. And I have
my God.
7 fur coats, but most of them are from my mother and from her mother before her.
Yes.
And the others are from consignment stores.
Yes, I would never buy it. I would never buy it retail, but I will buy it used.
Okay.
Also, just my little fur platform real fast. Fake fur is plastic and it will never biodegrade, but real fur will.
She actually has this really amazing Magnolian fur coat. It's purple. I love it.
I'm going to come looking in both your closets. Speaking of, here's the final fire round part. If we peeked inside your closet right now, what piece would surprise us the most? Besides that purple fur.
Oh, I have a lot of really cool outfits. I'll tell you 2.
Okay.
Okay, one of them is from a client of ours. That client's brand is called Weld Workwear. And we designed a jumpsuit with lots of zippers. And she made a version of it for Burning Man. It's all white and it has reflective paneling up the sides and like a neon, I think it's a blue, there's a blue zipper in the front and a pink one on the hip.
So good.
It's so cool. Every time I wear it, I always get stopped and get compliments on it. And then the other one is an Oscar de la Renta suit that I got in Miami. I was walking around and found myself in this like area that had different shops, coffee shop, there's a vintage shop. And so I was in the vintage shop and at the time I had purple hair. And I was perusing the racks and I saw this purple fur and I saw it matched my hair and the shop owner was like, you have to try it on. I don't care if you buy it. It matches your hair. Please try it on. And honestly, it fit me nearly perfect. It was a stunning suit, so I bought it. And then, because I know how to sew, I altered it to myself. And let me tell you, nothing fits as good as a perfectly tailored suit.
That was worth it.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
All right. So I actually, fun fact, when I went abroad in London, my best friend was Christian Siriano, who was Christian Siriano then, but not Christian Siriano as we know him today.
Roll it back. Save this for last.
I know. He is. I really don't think my career would be at all the same. We've had so many parallels throughout. So many of my life and watching him backstage has been the most incredible part of my career. Honestly, it's been so fun to watch him blossom. But one of his first bridal dresses was mine, and so he made my wedding gown, and I love it. I would design it exactly the same today. There's so much love and heart and soul, and he made me get really skinny, and it's just it's my favorite piece.
Man. Oh, well, I don't think I can top that.
Well, what about, I want to know what's in your closet.
Oh, this is not my fire round. Okay. I'll give. So I have some thigh-high rhinestone boots with a 3-inch heel. There, I said it.
Oh, fabulous.
I said it.
You don't need to wear anything else.
I can't wait to see them.
Well, no. Thank you
so much.
Thank
you.
you.
Having us.
Wonderful and fun and wonderful.
Well, we're so happy to be here. And hopefully we can bring some Texas manufacturing back.
Oh, you will. And for our audience, what would you say to them? You have plenty of viewers watching you. What are your last words to say to them? You can break that fourth wall.
All right. If you insist. I say let's do it. Honestly, there's nothing that's stopping you. We're here to take it and turn it into reality. Let's do it. Let's see what we can do together.
I love that. I would also say pretty much the same thing. We have clients that have talked to us for 2-3 years, and they're half married to their idea, and they're still holding on to their other job. Just get married. Just do it. Just go for it. Like, this industry is so rich. I've seen so many people be extremely successful. And if you love it, you should be here.
Viewers, as you are on your journey to success and you get to the top of that mountain, just remember it was worth every stitch. So as always, a smile is always in style. Keep it fashionable.